So we're starting at the top of page 11. We're coming to the end of this book. The Supreme Lord has finished giving his prophecy to Savitri. He stops speaking. The measure of that subtle music ceased. Down with a hurried, swimming, floating lapse through unseen worlds and bottomless spaces forced, sank like a star the soul of Savitri. Amidst a laughter of unearthly lyres, she heard around her nameless voices cry, triumphing an innumerable sound. A choir of rushing winds to meet her came. She bore the burden of infinity and felt the stir of all ethereal space. Pursuing her in her fall, implacably sweet, a face was over her which seemed a youth's, symbol of all the beauty eyes see not, crowned as with peacock plumes of gorgeous hue, framing a sapphire whose heart-disturbing smile insatiably attracted to delight, voluptuous to the embraces of her soul. Changed in its shape, yet rapturously the same, it grew a woman's, dark and beautiful, like a mooned night with drifting star-gemmed clouds, a shadowy glory and a stormy depth, turbulent in will and terrible in love. Eyes in which nature's blind, ecstatic life sprang from some spirit's passionate content, missioned her to the whirling dance of earth. Amidst the headlong rapture of her fall, held like a bird in a child's satisfied hands, in an enamored grasp, her spirit strove, admitting no release till time should end. And as the fruit of the mysterious joy, she kept within her strong, embosoming soul, like a flower hidden in the heart of spring, the soul of Shraddhavan, drawn down by her inextricably in that mighty lapse. Invisible heavens in a thronging flight soared past her as she fell. Then all the blind and near attraction of the earth compelled fearful rapidities of downward bliss. Lost in the giddy proneness of that speed, whirled, sinking, overcome she disappeared like a leaf spinning from the tree of heaven in broad unconsciousness as in a pool. A hospitable softness drew her into a wonder of miraculous depths. Above her closed a darkness of great wings, and she was buried in a mother's breast. Then, from a timeless plain that watches time, a spirit gazed out upon destiny. In its endless moment, saw the ages pass. All still was in a silence of the gods. The prophet moment covered limitless space and cast into the heart of hurrying time a diamond light of the eternal's peace, a crimson seed of God's felicity. A glance from the gaze fell of undying love. A wonderful face looked out with deathless eyes. A hand was seen drawing the golden bars that guard the imperishable secrecies. A key turned in a mystic lock of time. But where the silence of the gods had passed, a greater harmony from the stillness born, surprised with joy and sweetness yearning hearts, an ecstasy and a laughter and a cry. A power leaned down. A happiness found its home. Over wide earth brooded the infinite bliss. You'll start, Rosa? Sorry, sir. Okay, so let's start.
The measure of the subtle music ceased. Down with their hurried, so many floating legs. Through unseen worlds and bottomless space ocean. Sand like a star, the soul of Savitri.
Yes. So the measure, the rhythm of that music, the music of the Lord's voice, ceased. It stopped. And when it ceased, then Savitri starts to fall down from heaven. This high, subtle world of everlasting day where she's been communicating with the Lord. It's as if her soul is being forced to go down through unseen worlds. She feels these worlds around her, but she doesn't see them. And she feels that she's falling through bottomless spaces. Sri Aurobindo says her soul fell down like a star. Sometimes we see falling stars, at night. We can see them. Sometimes one alone, sometimes a shower of them. So like that, her soul, a star of light, is sinking down. Bhavan.
Amidst the laughter of unearthly liars, she heard around her nameless voices cry, triumphing and innumerable sound, the choir of golden wings to meet her came.
Yes. So lyres, you remember lyres? This is this small harp that poets carry. So she can hear voices around her. She can hear this music. Those lyres, their sound as they are played is very happy. It's like a laughter. She heard around her many voices, but she doesn't know whose voices they are. They are nameless voices. They are crying out, singing perhaps, triumphing. They are saluting her triumph, what she has won and what the Lord has promised. They are celebrating that. An innumerable sound. We can hear that there are many, many voices, but we can't count how many there could possibly be. And as she falls down, it's as if winds are coming up to meet her, but it's a choir of winds, as if the winds are singing to her as she descends.
Nameless voices and then innumerable sound. What is any plane that is crossing it shows?
I think it is all the beings, all the heavenly beings, they are celebrating this wonderful moment when Savitri returns to the earth after having gained the boon and after having received this wonderful prophecy for the future of the earth. So it's a universal celebration is going on about this wonderful event. Alice.
She bore the burden of infinity and felt the stir of all ethereal space.
Yes. So this is what she feels, as if almost she's carrying a weight with her, bearing the burden. It's a load, as if there's some pressure on her from all infinity, limitless space. And at the same time, she's feeling the stir, the movement of all ethereal space. That is the space which is filled with ether. Ether is the finest, most refined and subtle element of the 5 elements. We start from matter, from earth, and then there is water and fire and air and ether. Our physicists have come to the conclusion that ether doesn't exist because they can't detect it with their instruments. But Sri Aurobindo refers to it many times through the poem. It's the element which in Sanskrit is called Akash. So she feels that Akash, that subtle space stirring and moving around her as she descends. Sarojini?
fawn in her head. Fawn. Implacably sweet. A face was over her which seemed a symbol of all the beauty eyes seen up, crowned us with peacock plumes of a gorgeous hue, having a sapphire whose heart disturbing smile
insatiably
attacked to delight, helped us to the embraces of her soul.
Yes, lots of difficult words there, no? So as she falls down, as she sweeps down through these ethereal spaces, following her, leaning over her, is a face. It seems to be the face of a young man. And Sri Aurobindo says this face is the symbol of all the beauty which our material eyes don't see, the beauty of the invisible worlds. No? And this face is crowned with peacock feathers. Plumes are feathers, peacock feathers of gorgeous hue, wonderfully, intensely colored peacock feathers. So immediately we know whose face this is. No? This is the face of Lord Krishna. No? And his face is like a sapphire. A sapphire is a beautiful blue gemstone. No? But this face is the color of that blue gemstone. And its smile, his smile is disturbing to the heart, troubling. It's so intensely beautiful that one almost can't bear its beauty. No? And that smile is attracting whoever sees it to delight. It attracts it insatiably, as if he will never be satisfied with attracting. Insatiable means cannot be satisfied. So that soul, that smile, is voluptuous, extremely enjoyable, even sensuously enjoyable to the embraces of her soul. Corinne.
Change in its shape, yet rapturously the same. It grew a woman's dark and beautiful, like a moon night with drifting star-shaped clouds, a shadowy glory and a stormy death, turbulent in will and terrible in love.
Mm-hmm. So this is the face of Kali. No? Yes. So the face changes its shape. It was Krishna's face, now it changes. And yet in some ways it's rapturously the same. It's the same face. It's equally beautiful. No? Even though now it looks like a woman's face that's dark and beautiful. Dark and beautiful like a night in which there's a beautiful moon and clouds, and shining through the clouds, stars. So as if the clouds have diamonds in them, the stars. So this dark, beautiful face is a shadowy glory because it's dark. And a stormy depth. There's something so deep about it, and at the same time that stormy, troubling, passionate, violent possibility is there. This face expresses that this woman, this being, is turbulent in will. Turbulent means violent, like turbulent winds. They blow you in all directions. And terrible in love. Her love is so powerful, it is difficult to bear. You will read?
Eyes in which nature's blind excess lie, bright from some spirit's passionate content, we shed her to the whirling dice of earth.
Yes. So these eyes are the same. There's the eyes of Krishna and there's the eyes of Kali. But these eyes are sending her with a mission, sending Savitri back to the earth, encouraging her to go back to this earth which is whirling, moving around the sun. In these eyes, Savitri sees that the life of nature on our earth or in our universe, nature's blind, ecstatic life, there is some intense delight about the blind movement of life in nature. She sees that blind, ecstatic life is springing out of, coming out of, like water out of a fountain, from some spirit's passionate content. He doesn't tell us what that spirit is, which is at the origin of life's ecstatic movements, blindness. Some spirit's passionate content. There's an intensity in it. And this word content, we can even pronounce it in two different ways. We can say content or we can say content. So you have to decide for yourselves what it means here. Or perhaps we can understand both of them. If it is content, it means all that spirit contains is giving birth to the life of nature. And the other pronunciation, it means satisfaction, happiness, content. So these eyes are missioning her, sending her, saying, yes, return to earth. Then there's another beautiful picture. Jerry, would you read, please?
Amidst the headlong rapture of her fall, held like a bird in a child's satisfied hands, and a moored grasp her spirit strove, admitting no release till time should end. And as a fruit of her mysterious joy, she kept within her strong and loosening soul, like a flower hidden in the heart of spring, the soul of Shraddhavan, drawn down by her inextricably in that mighty lapse.
Yes. So Savitri feels herself being held as if she's a little bird and she's being caught by a child. That child is so happy to hold the bird in its hands, no? Satisfied. So she's feels that there she is, she's falling down. It's also a kind of delight, rapture. And headlong is when you fall head first, like a diver, no? So in that intense ecstasy of her fall, she feels herself held like a bird in a child's satisfied hands. But it's not a child. It's an enamored grasp. Somebody loves her very, very much and is holding on to her safely. No? That enamored grasp will not let go of her. It will not let go of her soul till time should end. It will hold her forever and ever. That's the first part of the picture. And she, in her turn, is holding on to the soul of Shraddhavan. That's held within her soul, within her strong, embosoming soul, as if she's holding him deep in her heart. No? He is like a flower. His soul is like a flower hidden in the heart of spring. So as she falls down, returns to the earth, she's carrying with her the soul of Shraddhavan, which cannot be separated from her, inextricably, can't be separated from her in that mighty lapse of fall. Gomsun.
Invisible heavens in a soaring flight saw the path for as she had. When all the blind and new attraction of the earth compared, fearful rapidities of downward grace.
Yes. So, as she's falling, she feels these heavens around her, but they are invisible. No? And as she falls, it's as if they are rising up, soared. It's what a bird does, flies very high. And at a certain point in that fall, she feels the earth's power of attraction, the earth's gravity, all the blind and near attraction of the earth. Gravity attracts things to the earth. No? So then she begins to fall even faster, compelled, fearful rapidities of downward bliss. It's still an intense delight, this experience, but still now there's some fearfulness intensifying it. Ganga Lakshmi?
Lost in the giddy broadness of that speed, wheels sinking along, overcome, she disappeared, like a leaf spinning from the tree of heaven. In broad unconsciousness as in a pool, her unspeakable softness drew her into a wonder of miraculous deeps. Above, her clothes the darkness of great wings, and she was buried in the mother breast.
So when those fearful rapidities take over, the near attraction of the earth, Sri Aurobindo images Savitri as a leaf. We might see a leaf in the autumn falling from a tree, whirling around, being attracted into, but this would be a leaf from the tree of heaven, So like that, whirling down, she sank, she disappeared in broad unconsciousness, as if that leaf has fallen into a pool and sunk. And then this line, lost in the giddy proneness of that speed. So she's falling down flat, and it's making as if dizzy, giddy proneness. She's falling down very fast and flat, and that's giving some. So that's why she's like a leaf spinning from the tree of heaven. But when that happens, she feels embraced by a hospitable softness. Hospitable, it's when somebody welcomes you into their house, treats you as an honored guest, a very welcome visitor. So that's how the earth welcomes Savitri back with a soft embrace and takes her deep into a wonder of miraculous depths. And she feels as if closing above her is a darkness of great wings, and that she's being buried in a mother's breast, as if in the breast of a mother bird, taking her in with her wings. Kamala.
Then, from the timeless plane that watches time, a spirit gazed out upon destiny. In its endless movement saw the ages pass. All still was in the silence of the dark.
Yes. So there's a gaze. Some high consciousness is watching all this happening. There's a plane beyond time, a timeless plane. But from that plane beyond time, a consciousness is watching what happens in time. So that spirit from the timeless plane is looking out upon destiny, on what will happen, what's going to happen in the future. And in its endless moment beyond time, it watches, it sees the ages pass. The ages that will pass from that time when Savitri returns to the earth until the fulfillment of the prophecy, until the life of earth becomes the life divine. And everything is unmoving, silent. Everything was still in a silence of the gods. Slava.
The moment going into space and cast into the heart of great time. The time of light and the devil's peace. A crimson sea of God's felicity. A glance from the gaze fell of undying love.
Yes. So this moment of timelessness, this endless moment, it's a prophet moment. It's looking forward into the future. And it covers limitless space. And it's as if it throws a seed, casting. It's what farmers do with their seeds. No? It casts into the heart of hurrying time We can't stop time. It's always moving, seems to be going faster and faster. It casts a seed, a crimson seed of God's felicity. Crimson is a deep red, the deep red of roses. And it also is casting, in that same seed is also a diamond light of the eternal's peace. So it's carrying two things: peace, pure peace, and bliss, felicity, God's felicity. And this is all happening because a glance is falling on the earth from the gaze of undying love, eternal, supreme, divine love. That is that gaze, that spirit that gazes out. Joel.
The wonderful face looked out with deathless eyes. A hand was seen drawing the golden bars that guard the imperishable secrecies. A key turned in a mystic lock of time.
So there's a gatekeeper there, looking after the gate to the transcendent world. So that wonderful face of the gatekeeper looks out with these immortal eyes, and even a hand is seen drawing the golden bars, closing the gate, the golden gate. These golden bars that guard, that protect the imperishable secrecies, the secrets that can never die, eternal secrecies. And even a key is turned, so that gate is thoroughly locked in a mystic lock of time. That prophet moment is over now. But something is left behind. Leila.
But where the silence of the gods had passed, a greater harmony from the stillness born, surprised with joy and sweetness, yearning hearts, an ecstasy and the laughter and the cry.
I think you can read to the end.
The power leaned down, a happiness found its home. Over wide earth brooded the infiniteness.
Yes. So that silence has gone. It's locked away behind that golden bar. But where that silence of the God had passed, where it's been, there's a greater harmony that's been born or is born from that stillness, from that silence. And that brings to the earth, I think, it's surprised with joy and sweetness, yearning hearts. It's here on earth that the hearts are yearning. So something wonderful has happened, and it's felt on earth. People's hearts get surprised with joy and sweetness. They feel an ecstasy and a laughter and a cry of delight. There's a power leaning down, and there's a happiness that finds its home in the earth. So over the wide earth brooded the infinite bliss. I've explained this word brooded so many times, but each time it comes with a new nuance, a new shade of meaning. It's the same image of a mother bird sitting on her nest protecting her brood, those eggs or those little chicks that are going to come out. So there's a power, a mother power leans down over the earth, and over the whole earth is brooding this infinite bliss, like a mother bird spreading her protective, nourishing wings. And if she's brooding over the earth, it means that at some future time something is going to be born. It's a promise that all these things that have been prophesied are going to happen.
Shraddhavan, I have one question. Why but where the silence of the God has passed?
Well, he said that there was this prophet moment, and everything was still. All still was in a silence of the gods that lasts just for a moment. And then, when this glance has fallen from the gaze of undying love, then the gates of heaven are closed. The gatekeeper closes the gates and locks them, so that silence of the gods is not there. It's separated from the earth somehow. But where it has gone away, instead there's this wonderful birth of happiness.
The measure of that subtle music ceased. Down with a hurried, swimming, floating lapse, through unseen worlds and bottomless spaces forced, sank like a star the soul of Savitri. Amidst a laughter of unearthly lyres, she heard around her nameless voices cry, triumphing an innumerable sound. A choir of rushing winds to meet her came. She bore the burden of infinity and felt the stir of all ethereal space. Pursuing her in her fall, implacably sweet, a face was over her which seemed a youth's, symbol of all the beauty eyes see not, crowned as with peacock plumes of gorgeous hue, framing a sapphire whose heart-disturbing smile insatiably attracted to delight, voluptuous to the embraces of her soul. Changed in its shape, yet rapturously the same, it grew a woman's, dark and beautiful, like a mooned night with drifting star-gemmed clouds. A shadowy glory and a stormy depth, turbulent in will and terrible in love. Eyes in which nature's blind ecstatic life sprang from some spirit's passionate content, missioned her to the whirling dance of earth. Amidst the headlong rapture of her fall, held like a bird in a child's satisfied hands, in an enamoured grasp her spirit strove, admitting no release till time should end. And as the fruit of the mysterious joy, she kept within her strong embosoming soul, like a flower hidden in the heart of spring, the soul of Shraddhavan, drawn down by her inextricably in that mighty lapse. Invisible heavens in a thronging flight soared past her as she fell. Then all the blind and near attraction of the earth compelled fearful rapidities of downward bliss. Lost in the giddy proneness of that speed, world sinking, overcome, she disappeared like a leaf spinning from the tree of heaven, in broad unconsciousness, as in a pool. A hospitable softness drew her into a wonder of miraculous depths. Above her closed a darkness of great wings, and she was buried in a mother's breast. Then from a timeless plain that watches time, a spirit gazed out upon destiny. In its endless moment saw the ages pass. All still was in a silence of the gods. The prophet moment covered limitless space and cast into the heart of hurrying time a diamond light of the eternal peace, a crimson seed of God's felicity. A glance from the gaze fell of undying love. A wonderful face looked out with deathless eyes. A hand was seen drawing the golden bars that guard the imperishable secrecies. A key turned in a mystic lock of time. But where the silence of the gods had passed, a greater harmony from the stillness born, surprised with joy and sweetness, yearning hearts, an ecstasy and a laughter and a cry. A power leaned down, a happiness found its home. over wide earth brooded the infinite bliss.